the World Healing Tour movement with your host, Noah Crane. Heal yourself, heal the world.
Hey everybody, my name is Lisa Ray. I'm a literary agent and I'm working with the media team here at The Grass Grows where I am, and we are so excited to bring you a co-author experience where you will grow your brand and your visibility. Click the link below and apply now for free, and we will see you inside the pages of The Grass Grows where I am.
Hello, and welcome to the World Healing Tour podcast, where our mission is to help you heal yourself so you can heal the world. Hi, my name is Noah Crane. Each week, we will bring you tips and tools and inspire you to live your most empowered and joyful life. I'm also the author of the book, The Grass is Greenest Where I Am, because the grass is greenest where you are when you say so. When you choose to live in a place of no comparison, no competition, and no scarcity. When you live in your own love and light and share your unique gifts with the world, because we're all unique. And that's why it's called World Healing Tour. Because when you heal yourself, you truly create that ripple effect in the world to help others heal as well. Each week, I bring incredible people into studio to pour into you and into your life and show you the amazing work they are doing in the world. My guest today, Carrie Leskowitz, is a talented interior designer, life coach, and author, known for her holistic approach to design and personal transformation, with a passion for creating spaces that foster well-being. Carrie integrates her expertise in interior design with feng shui and life coaching to help clients transform their home and their lives. She's also the author in our anthology book, The Grass Grows Where I Am. Super excited to have her today on the podcast. Carrie, welcome to the World Healing Tour podcast.
Hi, Noah. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here. Looking forward to a nice conversation.
Well, it's such an honor, and I love that you're going to be part of the anthology book.
Excited.
So exciting. And it's just incredible because you already are an author yourself.
Yes.
And that is what's so exciting, because you wrote an incredible book.
Thank you.
Called Om for the Home.
Om for the Home.
And I love that name, Om for the Home. We all love to home, And and the fact that you're already a published author and you saw the value to come into the book and write your own chapter. And it's such an honor to showcase your work and what you do in the world, because I think it's incredible to help people clear that space, that can actually get in the way of so many things in our lives.
Yes, I'm so passionate about the subject, and writing the book, Om for the Home, it's a holistic connection between mind, body, spirit, and living space. And so I love talking about it and educating people, because I don't think that people truly understand that our home is another pillar of wellness, and that there's so much we can do, and there's so many messages that we can find in our home that can help us on our own healing journey, or send us messages about something maybe we need to work on, because a home is a reflection of our soul. So I put the two together. The home is a metaphor, or the Om in the middle of home is within as without.
Yeah, no, that is so beautiful. And I love that you take the holistic approach to it and see it more as a, mind, body, soul. And I love soul. Like, I can talk about soul all day because, I often tell my husband, my soul loves your soul so much,
That's
like,
cute.
there's something like, like when you love something, when you feel like your soul connects to it, there's something deeper than just like a thing.
Yeah.
Right? And I love that soul connection aspect. How did you come up with that in your own life?
I guess as all of us co-authors and, people that we tend to connect with, we've all been on our own healing journey. And if you don't get quiet and go inward and connect with yourself, you don't connect to your soul. Who are you on a deeper level? What feeds you? So once I did that, and again, it's like a process, you're always sort of coming in and out of questioning. Once I did that, and I was doing my interior design, but I had learned the language of life coaching and I had done my own personal healing, I really saw a language that wasn't spoken about enough, like a niche. And so I began showing people that our homes can reflect something that may be going on within us. And that's a trigger or something we need to work on. And I think life puts little messages in our way. And if we're open enough and we have some depth, and we're connected to our soul and questioning, we see those as opportunities, to question more. And what does this mean? Like a root cause in interior design. Like I say there's messages in the mess in our home. There's always a root cause for something, and that creates sort of the curiosity to question, what am I seeing? What does this mean? And it ultimately leads back to our soul.
I love that so much. Thank you for explaining that. That is such
That's
a
my
great
interpretation.
Yeah, yeah. And I always say, like, our inner world creates our outer world.
Yeah.
So we have to start with inside. And
Always.
so many of us are disconnected, because we always think the grass is greener somewhere else. We're always running away from just spending that time with ourselves. And how important is that for our own soul well-being, you know?
And it's hard. I mean, it's hard for somebody my age with social media and, everything going on and everybody running and busy and doing and, everything looks like people are at the top of their game, and it's not always as we see it. And for younger women, it's very important to stop and say, wait a minute, this isn't necessarily true. Reality, this is not necessarily reality. And sometimes it's hard and we have to stop and remind ourselves.
Yeah, and that's why I wrote The Grass is Greenest Where I Am. Because, we do think the grass is greenest somewhere else. And not only that, we see a moment in time on social media. You see just a second, a moment, and a moment later, the person could be depressed, they could be sad, they could be going through horrible things. They might have an abusive spouse. Like, you don't know what people are going through, right?
It's true.
And you just see a moment in time and you think these people they have their shit together. And then you start comparing yourself to them and thinking oh, why am I not where I'm supposed to be at? Why are they so much farther along? But it's really not reality. It's smoke and mirrors, right?
Exactly. Like nobody really has their shit together.
No, we don't.
I remember listening to a podcast years ago or reading something, and this just really stuck in my mind. We all sort of fall into that comparison game, why me, why not me? And I remember this woman saying, when you feel that way and you see something and you're envious, say, some for me, please. Which I love because it turns the conversation around and it takes you out of being a victim or being jealous to being hopeful. If you see something and you're I love that. Some for me, please.
Yeah.
So it was just a twist of phrase that I remembered that I will say to myself sometimes to get me out of feeling less than.
No, I love that, Carrie, so much, And in my book, I say change comparison to admiration.
Right.
Like a beautiful work of art. And I know you could relate to that, right? When we look at a beautiful work of art, we're not comparing that work of art to ourselves. Just like when you see a beautiful woman or a beautiful thing that you admire, because you're in a place of design. So you're always noticing the beauty in everything. And there really is beauty in everything. And it starts with our own beauty. We have to learn to see our own beauty, right? So when we can see our own beauty and see our own uniqueness, how that will change our lives.
It's interesting because I've been studying beauty a little bit. There is a fairly new field called neuroaesthetics, and it's the study of beauty and art and architecture. And in one of the reasons I wrote my book, there were several reasons that brought me to that fork in the road. But one of them was I was kind of unhappy in my neighborhood in Philadelphia. And it was an older neighborhood. And it's just a development that if you didn't keep the houses pristine, like mildew would start forming, and I would say it's hurting my eyes. Like I just didn't like what I was seeing, and I'm so connected to beauty, or what I deem beautiful. And when we see something beautiful, and it could be anything, we get like little hits of dopamine. So we get like our pleasure center, we get rewarded when we see beauty or when we feel something deeply in a positive way. So I realized when I kept saying, like, this is hurting my eyes, that it was. I was having like a physical reaction because I was having the belief that I didn't like what I was looking at. Conversely, when you see beauty and you feel it, you get like all of these feel-good hormones surging through your body. It's super interesting, and they're just really starting to study it. I mean, I know they've studied it in art, but in architecture now it's...
I love that you say that, and it's not even like it's a feeling, like you said, it's something you feel inside, and it's not even, it can, the beauty is everywhere, right? And so even if you talk to a person and they're not that beautiful on the outside, if their soul is beautiful, you feel the beauty, you see the beauty, and that's what's so nice. Everything has beauty if you choose to see the beauty in it. And when you see beauty, like you talked about, it brings you joy, right?
Right.
It
If you
brings
stop and recognize it.
When you recognize it.
If you're aware. Some people, like, they're so busy and they're so in their head or they're so in their life that they don't stop and take the time to say, oh my God, like, let me stay here for a second. This is really beautiful. This is touching me. And I think that's such a precious gift that we can all give ourselves.
And you hit a really important point about the awareness.
Yeah.
Right? Because we are so busy that we're not aware of our surroundings. We're go, 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 go. We don't stop and just smell the flowers and just notice other people and other things, and I think that stops us. Like, I remember when I was young, a lot younger, that I actually went to a supermarket. And I remember this, like, I was rushing, I have little kids, I'm rushing in, I want to get something from the frozen section. This older lady was right in my way. They move kind of slow, and I was just like in my head thinking like, oh, I just really want her to move out of my way so I can get there. But that was nice. I wasn't pushy or anything. But then I remember like she just goes to me, I just want to tell you. She goes, you're so beautiful. And it was like,
nice.
And it was like, wait a minute. Like, I was so not present to another person there that I could have given like a smile to, or like just and I was just like in my own like go, go, go. And it always stuck with me that it was like that moment. And I probably was in a stressful kind of go, go, go thing. And here she's like telling me something to kind of bring me back to like to me, And it was just a very touching moment.
And don't you notice that happens a lot? Like, you'll be in that state of mind, or you'll be pissed off about a parking spot or something, and then something happens that brings you right back to that place. Like, oh yeah, I like forgot for a second.
Yeah. Yeah. Or even like gratitude does that a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like, how many times am I like outside and I'm like I don't want to call myself clumsy, but like sometimes like I don't pay attention that much. We're on our phone, we do this, and those little stoppers right in front of the cars?
Of course.
I mean, those are dangerous, you guys. I mean, really dangerous, you guys. Watch for those stoppers, because I literally tripped and I fell. And then, I was so grateful that I fell on my face, okay?
Oh my God.
And I was so grateful because I could have been a lot more injured, and thank God nothing happened to my face, and just my lip got swollen. And I was able to like kind of stop myself. But seriously, like, it brings you back to like, oh my God, like, I'm okay, like, thank you. Like, I'm, it's like the gratitude, the energy of gratitude, right? For the beauty, for God's protection, whatever it is, it really elevates your soul too.
And how do you think that you developed that? Because I know how I did. So I'm curious how you did.
The gratitude part?
Yeah. Was it natural to you? Did you grow up with parents who instilled that in you?
So for me, my heart's always been really big. I've always lived in my heart. So no matter what circumstances, what challenges I had in my life, what abuse I had growing up, my heart was always a place of love. I always kept it like a treasure, So for some reason, I've always had the heart. Now, as far as the gratitude, I think that came with, being able to feel that God's always with me and I'm always guided and I'm not alone on this journey, and learning that there's so many miracles everywhere. When I started to tap into spirituality, right? And understand that, I'm so much more than the physical body. When I start to understand the soul and the connection to everything, and the fact that I'm safe because, God's watching over me, like all that kind of gratitude kind of developed from that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I really had to work hard at developing it for myself. I wasn't given a lot of tools, and as I faced challenges, and especially after I lost my dad and then my mom shortly after, I think gratitude was like the only thing that kept me sane. Like on those days that seemed impossible, I would say, the sunset is so beautiful today. I'm grateful for that. It was like what I clung on to for the time where I felt like I was in my deepest grief. But
That's beautiful. So in grief, you found gratitude, would you say?
I would say I found it before that, but that was what I clung to. That I felt like that was almost all I had at a certain point in time, but that I developed it for myself. The point being that if we didn't grow up with parents who gave us these tools, or friends along the way that we developed it with, I sort of, worked on it much later in life. But I found all those tools and I made them work for me. So we're all works in progress. I'm not saying I've, enlightened, but I've been able to put in place all those tools that help me, every time I have a challenge or I want to compare myself, or, we all feel a little like off kilter. I can call upon myself, and it's all within. And I know how to go within and sort of conjure up what I need in that moment, because we're always safe and we're always held.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful that you're able to cling onto the gratitude and, and be able to go through grief with having that to hold on to, because I can't imagine what it's like losing both your parents in a very short period of time.
I mean, when I look back, I can't even believe it. But to circle back to home, one of the things I did was, so our home is like a feeling state, and we should treat it as such. There's energy in our home. There's energy within us. There's energy within things and objects. And after my dad died, my house needed to reflect that. Like, I wasn't the same person. Therefore, my house needed to change. And I remember running around and there was a painting that he loved that reminded him of me, which I never understood, but I took it and I just moved things around because I felt like my home needed to reflect that I was now walking a new path and I wasn't who I was, a month prior. So our home is like a constant feeling state. And if we're in tune to who we are, what our soul is saying, what we need at any given time, our home is another tool in our toolbox to help reflect that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I could definitely see how, and I wanted to ask you about, because I love your story. I would love for you to share the story, how the name for your book came, Om for the Home, because it's such an amazing experience. And I wanted to, share that.
I mean, I think the name just came to me off the top of my head. But the story is when I was lucky enough, I think I was the last writer's retreat at Jack Canfield's house. He had a writer's retreat. I think it was 2019, because it was right before COVID. And I remember I was really in the throes of having just lost my dad, and I mean, my hair was falling out. I remember I was in a dark place, but I was writing the book because it was all I could do. And I saw this opportunity to go to Jack Canfield's house with a group of people, and I took it. So I'm at Jack Canfield's house in Santa Barbara, and it is amazing. And I said to him, your house feels really good. And he said, I had a feng shui master come in, and you could feel it. So that reinforced the importance of like your home is a feeling state, and why I needed to incorporate feng shui. But so we were doing this writer's retreat, and each of us got a chance to come up and talk about what we were working on, what challenges or struggles we had. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was my title, because I wasn't sure about it. I was like, is it juvenile? I mean, is it good? It's catchy, but I don't know. And, you know, I had imposter syndrome. And so I had all this going on in my head. And Jack said, your title should give you goosebumps. He said, I didn't like Chicken Soup for the Soul, but it came back around. And I said, well, you know, I'm thinking of Om for the Home. And he's like, I don't like it. And I'm like, really? So I was like, okay, you know, let me think about it. And the next day, it was like a 2-day writer's retreat. And the next day I said, Jack, it gives me goosebumps. He said, then go with it. It doesn't matter what I think. So I didn't even listen to him, but I'm glad I didn't, because I love the name, and I think it really sort of encapsulates everything I talk about. You know, the Om, being within the home.
Yeah.
So.
I love that you listen to yourself, which is so important. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with Carrie Leskowitz.
Hi, I'm Chris Trammell. I'm the marketing director for The Grass Grows Where I Am, and we can't wait to work with you. And if being in this anthology book would make a difference for your brand, your visibility, and your profitability, click the link below and let's get you started. Can't wait to work with you.
And we are back with Carrie. So we're having a great conversation here, and I'm like, oh my God, the time's going by so fast, but it's so great. So you wrote your book, and so once you got published, how does it feel to be an author?
I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud of myself. Nobody tells you that once you write a book, you've got to market it for the rest of your life. But it's a really relevant topic, and I'm passionate about it. And I think one of the things I'm really proud of, besides the fact that I actually did it, was that it went to print on my 60th birthday. So, like, never think that you're too old to do something.
I love that so much. That is amazing.
Yeah.
And 60 is young, you know?
I mean, yes, relatively, but, you know, I know friends who are like, I'm too old to do this or too. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, you're never too old to start something.
Never too old.
Never too old.
Don't ever say that to yourself, I'm too old, because that's just an excuse. I'm sorry. It's an excuse.
And we always have to be doing things to keep us young and vibrant and energized.
As long as you're alive, you are here to create, right? When you stop creating, when you stop, you know, doing things and growing yourself, right? We're here to grow ourselves, to grow, even to elevate our soul, right? To a higher, you know, dimension.
Right.
So when we stop doing that, that's when you really die inside. So no matter what, we got to keep, you know, there's no such thing as age, doesn't matter. You know, you're here, you're alive. There's so much to be grateful for, right?
Yeah. And when you feel stuck, like I used to say, I felt stuck. That's like a sign that it's time to grow. Like your soul is telling you, even if you don't recognize it right away, your soul is telling you, you know, it's time to grow. It's time to expand.
I love that.
And yeah, so the book has really helped me to do that. My healing journey has really helped me to do that. And I continue to always learn new things and try new things and meet new people, because the newness, the curiosity, that's so important in our lives. And when I can, you know, help people to decipher, you know, or get in touch with that part of themselves, I just get like such a thrill. Like if somebody has an aha moment about something that was going on in their home, and I said, you know, I see something here, and that, do you want to talk about it? Do you want to coach around it? And then they have an aha moment. There's nothing better.
Yeah, that is really, really cool. And your parents would be so proud. I'm sure they're so proud, that
I
you.
think they would.
Yeah,
I think
mean,
they
that is
would.
a huge accomplishment.
I'll give
Huge.
you an example because sometimes I think when I talk about it, it feels vague to people that, don't really understand when I say there's messages in the mess or our home can reflect, something that needs to be dealt with. I use this example because it's my example and it's a really good one. It's not in the book, but in the book I have a lot of case studies. So it helps people to make more sense out of what I say because, I talk in metaphors and limiting beliefs and things like that. But I lived in a house. This is one of the reasons why I felt stuck. So I've been in my home in Philadelphia for like 40 some odd years. I lived there with my first husband. I'm living there with my second husband. And my present husband, Stephen, he loves piles and he makes piles like all over the house and I go crazy. So I would come into the house from the kitchen and there'd be a pile of mail on the kitchen counter. And after a while, I kept saying, why am I walking in my home and it's lovely and there's fresh flowers, but I immediately feel stressed when I walk in the kitchen from the garage. There's something like bothering me. And then I'm like, it's that pile. It's the mail. It's the bills. And I realized that it was just mail. But in my mind, because I had a money story that was sort of given to me by my father, who used to freak out when the bills would come, I would walk into the house and I would see that pile on the kitchen counter and I would feel stressed and lack. Oh my God, how are we going to pay the bills? There's so many bills, which of course was not true at all, and it wasn't true for my father and it wasn't true for me. But I had ingrained that feeling of stress. And so I explained to Stephen that we needed to move the pile, put it in the office or put it in a drawer so I didn't see it. But I also had to work on my money story because it's just energy and it's a limiting belief that I had. So that message in the mess was that pile triggered me to go deeper and look at a story I had about money and then clear that up. So it just fascinates me, like all these little things that you can attribute to some part of you that if it triggers you, if it feels heavy, there's something there to examine.
And the fact is you paid attention,
Yeah.
right? Because if we don't pay attention, how can we notice that, Let's talk a little bit about clutter since we're kind of crawling towards the clutter. I think what's really hard for a lot of people, and I'll speak for myself, we accumulate things, right, over time. And we get more and more things, and we're not getting rid of the old things, And I'm sure a lot of us have things in our house that don't bring us a lot of joy, right? But they're just there. What's the first step to start? I mean, we notice the clutter, it's triggering us. What would you say? Because I think sometimes the hardest step is just to get yourself to start doing something about it.
Right. I mean, this is it's a big conversation. Of course, self-awareness is always the first step to everything. That saying, bring in one thing, release two. I think you constantly have to be aware that if you're bringing something into your home, that you should love it, first of all. It should function in a way that you need it, or you should love it. Otherwise, it doesn't belong in your home. If you bring,
say it one more time. You should love it.
You should love it,
yeah.
or it should need to function in your home, or you shouldn't bring it into your home.
I love that. Rule 1 and rule 2, you guys. That is really good.
I mean, people just, they amass things. We overconsume. And then before you know it, our home is cluttered. We want to feel abundant. We want to feel light. We want to feel free to create who we are ultimately and always be questioning and examining and feeling good. And we want the energy, which is where, feng shui comes in. We want the energy of our home to be able to move through and around things. And it can't, if there's clutter, it gets blocked energetically and stops. So we want to be questioning, does this serve me? Does this bring me joy? I have an exercise in the book, and I'll share it with you because it's a really good exercise and I love it. So this is like a good takeaway if you want to do something after you listen to this. Walk through your house. I call this exercise seeing with new eyes. Walk through your house, go in the front door, which most of us don't even use. Pretend you're like a guest in your home and walk through your front door. And what is the first thing you see? What is the first thing you feel? How does the outside of your house look? It starts with the curb appeal in the front door. And be walking through your home with the eyes of a guest. What are they seeing? What are they experiencing? Because a lot of times, like, we stop seeing what's right in front of us. 10 years go by and you've still got that little vignette with the dead flowers and the dust. I mean, it just happens because we get busy and we stop seeing. So I invite you to see, like, really look. You know, that thing that my kid gave me like 5 years ago, do I need it? You know, can I maybe put it away? And make room for light and air and, you know, just space. Sometimes getting, you know, rid of things is as important as bringing things in, but we have to know that. We want to balance the elements. So we want to move through the house, and I'm talking like living room and kitchen, and is everything, you know, in good condition? Is anything in disrepair? Because, like, I would say a leaky faucet could translate into, well, what's like leaking in your life? What is draining you? What, you know, how can you fix that? Because there's always something. I was in somebody's house and their paint was like, their wallpaper was peeling off the wall. And I was just thinking, where are they peeling? Like, there's something. There's always like something, like a root cause. They didn't have time. Why didn't they have time to repair it? Like, what does that mean? So just be walking through your house. In your bedroom, are the windows clean? Is the light coming through it, you know, in a really beautiful way? Like, everything means something. And I think when you treat your home with that respect, you know, it comes back to you tenfold. And then you're feeling good in your space. So if you hadn't thought of it first, you're thinking, do I feel good in my body? And like, one thing is connected to the next thing, connected to the next thing.
Yeah, no, that is amazing advice. Walk into your house like a guest.
Right.
Yeah,
I
and
call it
take a look.
seeing with new eyes. Yeah, I mean, just look at the books on your bookshelf. Do they express who you are now, or where you want to go? Not who you were when you were a child, unless it holds a deep, meaningful connection to your past. That's something else I ask clients, like, what connects you to your past? Because that's another way to express who you are. For me, I'm connected to the mountains, and I'm connected to organic materials, because it reminds me when we had a house out west. And so I know where that came from, and I know it's important to me to have like organic materials, but it wouldn't be important for maybe you. So I would say, what's important to you? What connects you to your past that feeds you? And then what could you add, if you haven't already, that would sort of help manifest where you want to go in the future? So our house is like a living, breathing thing, and we need to treat it that way.
I know that is really important, and we have to get rid of things, and that's part of.
You do.
Yeah, because sometimes, you know, we hold on to things because, you know, we bought them, we spent a lot of money on
feel
them.
guilty.
Yeah, you know, all kinds of things.
Somebody gave it to us. We can put it away. Like, I worked with somebody, and she really had a hard time getting rid of things. You know, I tried to do, you know, like keep, donate, get rid of, like, you know, throw out. But some things were really hard for her. But everything is a baby step. So she agreed, let's put it in a box and put it in the basement, which isn't perfect, because I have a theory about like what goes on in your basement, which could be like your unconscious. But, you know, again, baby steps. Let's put it away, put it in a box, you know.
Usually when we put things away, we never look at them again.
Then you don't need
And it's
them.
kind of like, we should probably throw them
exactly.
out too, right?
But some people can't go from like 0 to 100.
Yeah.
You know, so put it in the basement or put it in the second bedroom, and then move it to the garage, and then maybe you could throw it out after that. I have to honor where people are. Some people can say, yeah, I don't need it. I haven't, especially in your closet. I haven't worn it in 3 seasons. Donate. It's easier for some people than others.
Yeah, my in-laws passed away, and we took a lot of their stuff and put it in our garage. And recently we started cleaning the garage, so I brought some things in the house. Now I use some of the plates and some stuff that I like, but I have a lot of old kind of plates that maybe have some value, old records, record player, things like that. So I'm like, on one hand, I'm like, do these things have value? But then I don't want to take the time to go see if I could sell them or do something with them. It's time consuming, right? Because there's something about having your time instead of spending your time.
So just donate it.
So probably just donate it.
Thank it and donate it.
Yeah, and that's been at literally it's sitting in my living room right now.
And now it's just taking up space
and, it's taking
and
up
probably
space.
blocking all that healthy chi that you could be achieving.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that.
And the feng shui. Let's talk about feng shui.
Yeah, that's, feng shui is creating balance and harmony in a space. And that is blocking your balance and harmony right now.
Yeah.
Especially when you don't use it and it doesn't really hold that much meaning.
And it's on my what is it called? Ping pong table. So like our big ping pong table where people can come and play and have fun, have all this junk on it right now that I'm probably have to go this weekend and clean up.
So you're saying maybe the play is put on the back burner. Mm-hmm. Something else has taken over. Yeah. And if you reverse that, get rid of it, then, people can focus on the play again. I'm very sensitive to energy. Mm-hmm. Not everybody is. Again, it's awareness. I'm also somebody who made a career out of this, but I'm also just naturally a deeply sensitive person. And I remember there's quite a lot of rules to feng shui, but there's also just practical things. And I think interior designers intuitively also know when things don't feel right or out of balance. And I remember going into somebody's bedroom once. They were taking me on a house tour, and it was their son's bedroom, and the house was beautiful. And there was a giant metal sailfish over the young man's bed. And I was taking a gasp because all I saw was heaviness, cutting. I mean, I think it had the sawtooth thing. It just what if it fell on him? Does he have nightmares at night? I immediately thought, oh, that is such bad energy. So those are the kinds of things I look at. You're not supposed to sleep under beams because that's cutting. And so you feel the energy. Some people have put light fixtures over their bed. It's the energy of being, the heaviness. It's not good for us. So we always want everything light and moving through, and we want to be able to see doors, and there's all kinds of tips. But I'm fascinated that I immediately can feel it because, again, our home is a feeling state. So sometimes we don't see things, but we can feel them. And that would then be an invitation to maybe make some changes.
Yeah, for sure. And it's about creating that flow in your home, right?
Yes.
Because there's something, energy is flow.
Yes.
Right? And so going back to before what we talked about, the gratitude and stuff, gratitude is also flow.
Yeah.
When you say gratitude, it's got a beautiful flow, right?
You want to be in a flow state.
Yeah, and you want to be in a flow state, right? And also water. Water has a flow to it. So I always connect gratitude and water because it flows. Mm-hmm. And, and this is the thing, when we're stuck, we're not in a state of flow. Right. And so having that feng shui and having the energy move through easily brings you in a place of flow where you're going to feel less stuck.
But you don't want too much flow.
Yeah.
And I see that a lot in Florida because a lot of people face water. And then they have, the white cabinets and the white floors and the stainless steel tables and, furniture with the legs. That's too much metal. That's too much water. That's too much flow. So we need to have things that anchor us.
Grounding, too.
Yes.
Yes.
So we need the balance.
Of course.
And that's another way that feng shui really helps us. It grounds us. It helps create connection. and it creates the harmony and the balance, as well as having the room between things
No, that's incredible.
and good design.
Yeah, and I when I was reading your chapter, and you started in fashion.
Yeah.
And I found it fascinating how you moved once you had kids, you moved more into design, which kind of goes with fashion, you know?
Everything I'm noticing a real like circle of life here. I studied psychology in college and loved it, but I left to do fashion. I worked with a woman. I did fashion show production, and then I was doing styling. Then all the work was kind of moving to New York, so I went into interior design. My mom had been dabbling, so we made a business out of it, and I stayed in interior design. But then at some point, I did right around like when computers were getting like popular and everybody had a .com. I had a little business called Talking Trends with my sister-in-law, and we did like the must-have accessories. So I went back to fashion, but I was still doing the interior design, and I would style the photo shoots, and we'd go to New York and buy, you know, the must-have fashions, and that was so fun. And then I put that away. I was doing my interior design. Then the book, I did a life coaching program, so that sort of brought back the psychology that I loved. And then I wrote the book. And then I had this language that I could speak about how our home is a reflection of our soul. And I love that. But now I'm doing art. And that's connecting me again to that part of myself that is in discovery and newness. And, you know, we always want to feel like lit up and excited. But the thing about art is, and this I think is what excites me, interior design, you have a vision, you know the end result. I create a room or a space, and then we pursue it. With art, which I am loving so much, and I guess I need it because things present themselves when we need it. With art, you have to completely surrender because you never know what the end result is going to be. I mean, better artists than me, I'm just a beginner, might have a sense, but the art sort of takes you where it wants to go, and you have to surrender to that. So it's kind of, I just feel like it's all sort of kind of coalescing into this perfect little cycle.
Yeah, I love that it's like all the lessons, everything along the way. And when you look deeper, you know, it's your creativity coming out in different ways. So you're just expressing we're all creative beings, you know, even if you don't think you're creative.
We're all
And
creative.
we all, you know, it all expresses that if you're open to it, it will express itself in different ways. And that's
Right.
what's so cool, that this journey's taken you such a creative road, and you've learned so much and grown so much, and now you help others.
Yes.
So let's talk about how you help others with their house, with decorating, with knowing more what resonates with them, what doesn't resonate with them. Because I'm sure you have some things that you.
I mean, I do a lot of questioning. You know, I ask them a lot of questions because, you know, I don't do full scale design anymore. I do consulting at this point. That's what brings me joy. And I think it's easier to help people get in touch with themselves. So I ask them a lot of questions about their past, you know, what they'd love to bring forward from their past, you know, like their really good memories, things like that. You know, just kind of to help them to go inward a little so we can express that. So I do a lot of questioning. They'll tell me if there's any areas in their home that don't feel good, or, you know, they're concerned with more than other places, and we can dig into that. So it's really become like this sort of wonderful back and forth in a consulting kind of way. And then I am happy to instruct people like what to do to fix that, how to move forward, whether it's internally or externally. We can design accordingly. I'll do mood boards. I'll, you know, do links, anything to sort of get them on the path. But I just don't really work with like contractors anymore and do like full scale interior design. And that's brought me more joy and inner peace. And I know that then I can be my best self for somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. Unless they're like willing to maybe, fly you out for thousands of dollars.
That's always a possibility.
you know,
But I think I can get to the root of it
Yeah.
easier
On
this way
Zoom,
because
yeah,
you don't get bogged
absolutely.
down with like design
Yes.
decisions. You can go right to like, this doesn't feel good, or I'm struggling with this. And we can look at their home. And then, again, sort of go into that toolbox and see, do they need coaching? Do they need design help?
Yeah, and you could help so much with design over Zoom, because if there's pictures and there's photos and you could see what goes with what, because you have an eye for that already. You've done it for so long, so you can totally direct them in the right direction of how to, do things and what looks good with what and whether they should.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
and-
just
and
become
there's
really
a lot
easy.
of psychology behind it. Like you
There's a
said,
lot of
there's so much
psychology in
psychology.
interior design.
Yeah.
Even people that don't do holistic interior design, and holistic interior designers sort of understand the connection between the well-being, so they'll tend to go a little deeper. But even if that's not, your niche, you become intimate with your clients. You're working in their home for, excuse me, I'm having like voice issues. For a year or more. You get to know the family. I've been through divorces with people. You see kids grow up. I mean, there is a real connection there. And whether you become friends at the end or not, you care about these people and their lives. So you want the best for them. And so I just think, I don't remember exactly where I was going with it,
but you're there for them, and
You're there for
and
them.
whether you're there for them virtually or you're there for them in person, you're there for them. You're guiding them, like just talking to you here, right?
Like you do become a little bit of a therapist either way.
Yeah,
I guess that's where I was going.
But just talking to you here, right? Like you telling me, walk into your house like a guest and take a look, and like you got to give it away. Like don't like. Just the little tips and the little nudges that I got from this interview talking to you is going to make me go this weekend and clear it up and donate it.
I just think
So,
you will be so much happier.
And I will be so much happier.
You'll be like, you'll
Yeah.
feel lighter. Like
Yeah.
when you let go of some of that stuff, there's a lightness.
Yes, I
There's
agree.
an exercise in the book, and I it's too long and I can't go into it now, but it was something I learned in my life coaching program, and it just serves anybody so well. It's called the body compass exercise. And you're really always asking yourself, and you can do it in your home, but I do it about anything. Like, do I, want to go out for pizza tonight? Do I have to go to the gym today? I don't know. I, put everything through this body compass exercise. How does this make me feel? And I literally, like in my mind's eye, picture like a line with a 0 in the center and a positive 10 and a negative 10. And I'm always asking myself, what do I want for dinner? Do I have to go out with these? And I'm always trying to stay on the positive side of this imaginary line. And I think it helps us when we don't know, or we think, oh, I have to do something. You don't really have to do something. And it holds true for our home as well. How does this make me feel? Am I loving this sofa? Am I loving the color with the curtains, with the carpet? Is it functioning the way I need it to? And ask yourself, how is this making me feel? And if that's too abstract, you can look at this line and say, it's like, I don't know, a positive 5. I could probably do better. And it just helps gauge people who need like a little more of a concrete image. But this is a very powerful exercise.
And that's in the book, Om for the Home.
It's in the book, Om for the Home.
Awesome. Well, make sure you purchase this book. It sounds amazing. And I'm going to get it as well. I know Lisa already got it.
Yeah.
But I need to get it as well. But yeah, that's exciting. So Carrie, how do people find you, connect with you, work with you?
Super easy. You can go to Carrie Leskowitz Interiors. That's my website. All the information is on there. And you can certainly reach out to me at carrieleskowitzinteriors.com. And my Instagram is Carrie Leskowitz. Couldn't be simpler.
Nice and easy. We like
Easy
that.
peasy.
Well, Carrie, this has been such an honor.
So
I
fun,
love
Noah.
talking to you. You're so awesome.
Thank
I'm
you.
so excited you said yes to being part of this book.
I'm really excited too.
Because, it comes with marketing and everything, which is so cool. We get to bring your message out and help you, get out there because there's so many people who could use your support. And you have such a wide spectrum of how you can help people that it's going to be awesome.
And that's what I love now, kind of serving. And that's what brings me joy and connecting with like-minded people. So I'm really glad I'm on this journey with you.
Yes, me too. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I'm so grateful to you. I want to thank you all for joining us today on the World Healing Tour podcast. Until next time, remember to practice these 3 important elements every day. Number 1, every day have a grateful heart and connect to your gratitude. When you're connected to your gratitude, you're connected to positive feelings and positive emotions, and therefore drawing more positive people, things, and experiences into your life. Number 2, remember every day to ground in love and compassion, not just for yourself, but also for others, because we all want more love and compassion. When you're able to give out more love and compassion, you get an abundance of love and compassion in return. And number 3, remember that this journey, you're not alone. This is a guided journey. I say guided by God, but whether it's God for you, universe, higher power, you're always guided. You just have to learn to listen and be open. Till next time, everyone, have a beautiful week. Namaste. Hi, this is Noah Crane. I'm excited to share this anthology book with you, The Grass Grows Where I Am. So just join us and be a part of this incredible book to help bring your message and influence into the world. We're excited to showcase what you do to make this world better. Click the link below. The World Healing Tour Movement with your host, Noah Crane. Heal yourself, heal the world.